Hello everyone, Lauren here with Lauren Elizabeth Fine Art in today's animal painting tutorial for stress relief. To finish off the Paint Your Pet September, I will be showing you how to paint little Oscar. This is a sweet little dachshund that I painted as a commission, and I just show you exactly the paint I use and the process that I took, and hopefully this will inspire you to create your own pet portrait. And on that note, I am moving into a different theme for October, starting today, being October 1st, where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make your own Christmas gifts. So I'm going to call it Handmade Christmas, where I help you paint and draw and color your way through Christmas, where you're creating these affordable Christmas gifts for your friends and family. So I'm going to show you guys a few tutorials how to do that starting this month and next and a little bit into December. Now I won't spill the beans too much, but between my masterclass students and you guys, I'm going to be showing you how to make ornaments, mini paintings, just different things that are both affordable and also really fun to make and relaxing to help you prepare for Christmas. Now, if you're wondering what this masterclass is, it's an online animal art masterclass for creatives of all levels, those going through stressful times. It's just designed for those who really want to learn about how to paint and draw and color animals while reducing stress. So all the links are in the description box below, guys, if you're interested in that. And without further ado, let's get started on this dachshund. After I've laid down the detailed sketch, I will color in the background as well as put in the first layer, the darkest layer of the animal. And then followed by that medium tones, I will then go in with my lighter tones just to make sure that I cover the canvas first. And then I'll work on the background. I tried to make sure I get that background finalized, especially for dogs that have longer hair so that I don't have to go back in and redo the fur. But for Oscar, it took a little bit longer to perfect that background. I wanted to make something more playful and bright, but it turned out to look a little bit more like a colorful corn maze in my eyes, and I didn't like that. So I get a little frustrated, and so I pause from the background, and then I move back to Oscar and start laying down that second layer of details. So I'll go back with my dark tones and just kind of touch up any areas that I might have need fixing. And so sometimes you'll need to do that throughout your pet portrait, is go from dark to medium to light, and then back to dark, and then to medium to light, just so that you can touch up any areas that you might have gone over when you were putting on the lighter colors. And so I'll often do that with my pet portraits. Now I wanted to slow down this time lapse so that I can kind of show you that painting your pet portrait doesn't have to mean painting on every hair, every strand of fur. It can if you want that, if you want a really detailed, realistic look. But I will, as you can see, I will just place paint in the right spot. So where I see the light sources coming from Oscar's left, upper left. And so I'm just dabbing highlights in the areas getting the most light. And some areas I'm painting in, but for the most part I'm just layering color but slowly progressing from dark to light. And it makes it a lot easier to paint your pet when all you're doing is focusing on where that light is hitting that animal. And then that allows you to really place those darker tones and medium tones in the right spot. Now, when it comes to painting Dachshunds specifically, this breed has a few things that you'll want to make note of before you paint your Dachshund, if you have one, is they have actually a surprisingly large nose for the little bodies that they have. And so you can always reference photos of noses of larger dogs. I had to do that for little Oscar. And they have large eyes, they have a very long snout. Their ears will fall around their jaw, if not a bit lower. Dachshunds that have longer hair, it'll actually be longer than that. But Oscar has very short hair, so it kind of falls a little bit below his jaw, above his collar. And I'm not painting, as you can see, Oscar's body, but the typical wiener dog has that long, thin body and a pretty large head too. So considering how teeny he is and how short those little stubby feet are, he's got a pretty big head. And so yeah, if you were painting the body of the Dachshund, you want to make sure you get those little stout little legs, that long body, and making sure that you stay accurate with the face as well. So that I can let Oscar dry for a little bit, I go back to my background and I just place in a much more simple background. I am wanting to create a blue background that's more modern, and so I put a couple layers over top the initial layer. Now, to get this wispy look, I went in while the blue was still wet and I added just a slightly lighter color blue. And again, all the colors are in the description box below, but I just did that while the canvas was still wet, let that dry, and moved on to my lighter tones on Oscar. And so now I'm using a smaller brush, so I'm getting in more of my detail and creating a little bit lighter than the previous colors, dark tones and light tones that I did before. And showing you a little bit closer, I am starting to create that hair-like look in some areas, just very slightly. I'm only adding a little bit of hair in some areas. It's at this step that you really want to look at the tiny details in your reference photo. So that would require a lot of zooming in. I often am looking at my iPad when I'm doing this and just zooming in really closely at each section. I'm just working on zooming into the nose and looking at the details in that, zooming in on the left eye and looking at the details on that. And those final details is really what brings the painting together. Now, for short-haired dogs like Oscar, I really recommend creating that hair structure with the edge of your flat brush. And I'm using a medium flat brush right now and just creating that texture. Now, wherever your light source is coming from, all the objects that are facing that direction where the light is hitting should all be consistent. So that the front of that little cushion is going to be lighter, just like the top of Oscar's head in that same direction is going to be lighter. So you want to keep all that consistent where that light is hitting. Well, there you have it, guys. That is how I paint my Dachshunds. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Here's a little preview of something you might see in the future. Have a wonderful day. Bye.